All right. There it is. There it is. What's going on, world? I'm over here scoping out between the windows. Excuse me if I'm not within frame. There it is. There it is. What's going on, world? Appreciate you coming back here. You know what I'm saying? This might be your first time. More than likely, it's your first time, man. Appreciate you coming back. I'm over here strolling on the other side of the room here. Going to grab a marker. That way I can mark up the. Actually, what color should we use? Let's pull out orange. We haven't used orange yet. We don't know how well orange will register on this here. The lighting of this camera, the whiteboard is the sun has set obviously in the background. You may or may not be able to tell. This is my three-peat for the day. Had to double check, make sure my microphone's working, operating in the best way possible. But here we are back in the frame, man. We are at TTH 220. That means we are a fifth of the way there to reaching our goal of getting 300. Possibly university mindset recordings, but more importantly, these pre-recordings here are just things that are going to be coming out weekly, all the way up to episode 300. So we'll see how I want to plan this out, man. If I'm really in the mood, I might just start like really spam posting these, but I have a good amount of them coming out in a good succession. But we are at orange, nice bright orange, TTH, the Truancy hour. Let's see. I'm trying to embolden it. That's why you see me going back and forth, because this is actually a thin-tipped marker, very thin-tipped marker here. Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little, or just come a little closer. Pause. But yeah, TTH stands for the Truancy Hour. We are on episode 220. That means beforehand we had did to some degree 200 majority live streams, but the early Truancy Hours were actually pre-recorded and short. But for the most part, a lot of my Truancy Hours were just me live streaming. I was having fun walking down the street, spring and summertime, beginning of fall, live streaming. But I'm taking, on a physical approach, I'm moving slow. Past couple of days, I'm not gonna lie, my health, for whatever reason, hasn't been as good as I'd like it to be. I go out to eat a lot, or I was so used to going out to eat a lot and treating myself, and then now I'm like kind of relying on the food at the house. Not saying that the food at the house is bad, but I just kind of, I guess in my mindset, I'm not that great right now, if I'm being honest. And with that being said, for the Truancy Hour 220, I want to speak about the university mindset. It's probably good that I'm doing, this is the third one of the day, but it's good that I'm doing it at the end of the day. And I'm saying this out loud because, I'm giving myself a certain time frame to get these recording, want to get the recordings in. If you have the space and the place, utilize it. And that's my whole place. And that's my whole, excuse me. That's my whole thing here is like, whether we have access to university spaces or places or not, the whole point about it is if you have access to it, that means you have access to, a sense of positivity, you know what I mean? For lack of a better term, a sense of, self-growth, empowerment, something to be proud of, basically. You're in a good, safe, hopefully safe university space and place, and therefore, you should utilize it to the best of your ability. It's a privilege to have access to something like this. It's a privilege. And some people take it for granted. Who am I to judge? I feel like when I'm in this area, sometimes I find myself a little uncomfortable or dealing with a slight or whatever discomfort, to the point where sometimes I kind of just go out there and eat. I haven't ate anything. There was, somewhere down the street, it's a place I grab a coffee from, and they have they have their little seasonal stuff. I think I had the pumpkin one last time, but I didn't want to do pumpkin this time. I was like, I don't want to do the pumpkin stuff, man. I'm not really into that. I get it. I guess it's not bad. It doesn't taste bad, but I'm not really that into it, you know. And it's funny because I haven't had it in a while, maybe like a month, to the point where I know if I have it now, I'm gonna enjoy it. So part of what I'm saying is this, man. You know, You get here, sometimes I get a little uncomfortable with myself or just a little off my own. I'm off center. So I feel like I'm having to navigate sometimes these spaces and places just to fit in culturally or to be accepted. Sometimes you go through that. And it's funny because when you're here on the campuses, when you're here on the university spaces, places, when you're here on campuses, to some degree, you're not necessarily accepted right away. You could get profiled still. I've dealt with that maybe once or twice. I mean, not like in a not like in a physical altercation kind of way, but just like little subtle things. And the reason why I don't really like to speak on this because sometimes I question, I was like, am I blowing certain things out of proportion, or actual conversations could have just been misinterpreted. I don't know. I don't want to get into that really right now because we have access to the space, and I'd rather just be here within the rooms. You understand? And what I say is sometimes before and after, I will grab a bite to eat nearby. I will try to get reacclimated with the new employee hires, whether that be security engineers or even just new people in general that on the other side of what do you call this? Um, like the restaurants nearby. So even though I have to traverse back home, it's like, yeah, I have access to the space. Like I don't know too many other people who have that privilege and who can say that. I say this because a lot of other people, they may or may not, and some people do have access to, um, or have been accepted or actually went to school at universities, um, colleges, community colleges, vocational institutes, technical colleges, you name it. All the if ands and everything in between and above, all of those. They've had access to it. And I say this all the time because I want to speak about the university mindset. Me myself, sometimes just for like a little bit of assurance, I will wear the university hoodie. I rock different university hoodies. You see me with the NYU, but I'm not in New York right now, obviously. But I rock the NYU, the New York University hoodie, because I was on campus over there. I bought the hoodie when I was out there on a trip, and when I go to different places, I like to collect things. So this is just from that trip. Sometimes you walk down the street with it, whether it's in my own neighborhood or just in other places, and people, they bother you less, or they sometimes they even talk to you more. But the police, they bother you less because they're like, oh, it's just a college kid or someone who just came back from college. I get treated in a different type of light and fairness, and I don't understand it, but I like it. This inspiration simply came from the fact that I remember I was watching Fresh Prince one time, and I started looking at the gear that they were wearing, and some of the gear that they were wearing, obviously they had all like the Malcolm X Carcanine kind of clothes and stuff like that, just the funky colors, but they had some gear that was recognizing HBCUs, you know, recognizing certain colleges and stuff like that. And it was Fresh Prince, but there's some other shows that do the same thing where like you just see people wearing like certain clothes and gear that just looks really nice, whether it's a crew neck or a hoodie, just something comfortable. It's something comfortable, but it's also signified and embroidered with something educational and at a high standard, right? A lot of people don't really value themselves, or they don't carry themselves to a self-loving, a self-respecting, uh, esteemed, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just themselves. They don't carry themselves. They don't put themselves on a pedestal unless they actually graduate or they complete their courses for a certain thing to get them that certification, to get them that certain degree. A lot of people don't really value themselves unless they're getting paid a certain amount, or if they have that degree that allows them to get paid. And all that is just stuff like when you think about the school system, you're constantly getting tested, and then you're proving that you can pass these tests. You're constantly being tested, though. My whole thing with the university mindset that I want to tell people, and a lot of that university mindset stuff, internalized stuff within self, within your own body, within your own heart, soul, spirit, brain, however you want to put it, whatever matters most to you, whatever becomes as a priority. The brain is probably the legit priority here. So, the brain stuff and the mental stuff, a lot of that stuff, it really starts there. Even our blood cells don't really move unless the body tells it to. That goes back into subconscious, that goes into like just, you know, mental reflex, if you will, neurological reflex. We say neuro because neuro deals with the brain, right? University mindset, man, I just want people to understand that you already understand personally. It doesn't matter what your age is, and maybe you even understand even up to this certain point. If you can comprehend this video, that means that you can comprehend within your own life, even if you're about 5, 6 years old, because we get kids on the channel sometimes that want to see video games, right? But you in yourself, within yourself, understand already the degrees of things in your life that you've been through, you survived, you withstood. You understand the threshold of things you will no longer tolerate, or things in your life you will no longer want to deal with. Sometimes you distance yourself, you oust yourself away, or you oust certain things away from you. You understand? Just to get that, how would you say, if this light is bright, I don't know if they turned this shit on. They might have turned this shit on for me. Can't see shit. Ain't nobody over there. Yeah. You get them things out of your life. You remove yourself from those things that aren't doing well for you anymore, or just are, negative for you. They're not good for you anymore. They're just not good for you anymore. You know that. You understand the degrees of those things. Therefore, simply from that, you understand, simple act of self-love and self-respect, of removing yourself or removing things in your life that either don't love or respect you. And you'll learn in the process. You'll learn in the process if you're being a little egotistical, or if you're being a little too big-headed, or if you're being a little unfair with certain people. Like, hey, man, you're treating people, you don't like when these people treat you a certain way, but you do the same fucking shit to them. You'll start realizing within yourself, once you start to remove yourself or you oust them, you start really examining yourself, and you have like a legit love and respect for yourself. You really start to see certain things. And you got to be honest with yourself about, like, even if you meant well or if you didn't mean anything at all, how you could have been interpreted. That's not your problem. You understand? It's not your problem how you were interpreted. It's on them. But you also have to understand and empathize certain actions or verbal words or cues or whatever that you may have did or may have not done that can be misinterpreted. That's to be considered as well. But even with that being said, like I said, really accessing the self, love, and respect, you will start to really examine the degrees of your life, the degrees of things you will no longer want to tolerate or deal with anymore. It's not worth surviving that anymore. It's not worth dealing with that anymore. And therefore, you can just simply certify yourself as a human being, as a soul that deserves a certain level of kindness that you have to deal with, and you have to deal to yourself. You understand? There's a certain level. Even just acknowledging your soul, just acknowledging the fact that you are a human being and you are deserving of stuff. Because the thing is, you'll see it on the outside looking in. You'll watch somebody who's picking up the trash or cleaning up a room or cleaning a toilet, an environmental service person, a housekeeper, a janitor. You'll see them get mistreated or just being expected to do the dirty work, rather than being thanked and looked eye to eye and thanked and said good morning to and shit like that. I've met some that kind of are self-deprecating and just kind of really talk down on themselves a lot. That's on them. But the ones that kind of get mistreated, that's a different thing. When you start to see it happen to someone else, you start recognizing, like, that's fucked up. I don't like that that's happening to this person. I don't even know them. It just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair that that's happening to that person. And you need to start saying the same thing to yourself. When the same things are happening to you, what are you tolerating still? When I say university mindset, it's like, what are you tolerating or what are you going through still that someone who actually truly loves you would examine and recognize and be like, I don't like that people talk to you and treat you that way. Fuck that. You understand? Sometimes I don't recognize it. It almost takes someone else speaking up for me to recognize that that's some bullshit. And that's why I do it so much for other people. I'm like, I just don't like the way that, like, they're treating you and you're allowing it. It's not that I hate them, it's that I love you more. You understand? It's not that I hate that person that's treating you wrong. I just love you more. And I've talked to people like that, and they, a lot of them kind of just stay on their bullshit, and there's nothing I can do about it. They want to be around that. They're more accustomed to their chaos. Within their own university mindset, they have a different value system rather than valuing themselves simply. So when I say university mindset, I want people to understand that. The Truancy Hour is always going to begin with this, at least within this section between the 200 and 300s. You're going to see a lot of university mindsets speak, a lot of university mindset talk, a lot of university mindset conversation, a lot of university mindset answers the questions that haven't been asked yet, but I know it just lingers off the tip of people's tongues, if not just in the back of people's minds. Like, I want to be able to access some of that stuff. Some of these things were like important notes to me, so I know they have to be important to other people. I know I don't share these thoughts alone. You understand? These are thoughts that have been had 1.5 to maybe 2 years ago, just sitting in the phone like I just had it. These were topics that were spoken about and expounded on in past Truancy Hours that were just audio form. I just want to do it in a more vulnerable and just more public video form video format kind of way. I just want to put it out there. So this is what that is. Sometimes I just slowly need to get the ball rolling. You understand? Like I say, man, this is the third one of the day. Third one of the day. We just got, I mean, you can even argue four because we just got done doing the Among Us stuff. The duck stuff was happening in the background. Other things were being taken care of this morning. It's a whole day where it's like I spend 7 to 8 hours at a job. What am I going to do with my own 7 to 8 hours? Why not create some content? 40 to 50 minutes at a time. Get some hydration in between. Go to the bathroom because I would do the same thing at my job. Do something in between. You understand? So this is the third video. The fourth one would technically be Among Us if you want to do that. 4 to 5 hours worth of work within this space. Make this space, utilize it. This is all stuff like I'm not even monetized. I won't even get paid for this maybe until like down the line. You understand? I wouldn't even get, but it's work outside of work. This is what I do. So university mindset is just understanding that like YouTube's not even, I'm not even monetized on YouTube. They're not paying me, but just understanding the value of what I think that this is. This feels like it is valuable at this time. A year from now, I might look down on this and be like, yeah, I don't even need to be saying all that for about 40, 50 minutes. I could just sum it up with a short now. And we're working up to that. Let's be honest, we're working up to that. But this is what it is right now. This is where we're at right now. I feel like this is the valuable time. See, people say they want like a longer expounded on or just like a whatever expanded format stuff. In the future, like if you were to find this video in the future and you wanted something more expanded, you found it right here. Quite simply, because in the future, what's going to happen is a lot of this stuff is constantly going to be abbreviated and shortened. I think we're slowly going back to longer form content. But when people do one thing, I'm always doing the other because I'm on my own time. I don't really follow the trends like that. I don't do a lot of mainstream stuff. When I do the Among Us stuff, I do put mainstream names. That's the funny thing. That's another whole. That's a whole other story. I want to talk about this one. This is actually a variety pack we have here, man. This is the Truancy Hour 220. Welcome. That is the university mindset. Hopefully, I've imparted enough wisdom to really empower who needs to hear it. If not, always feel free to skip through some of this stuff. I ain't got time to be doing no timestamps. Maybe I should. I know it helps certain people, but this goes back to the attention span thing. You know what I mean? If I do timestamps, people with attention spans want to skip through what they think is fluff rather than, just sitting there listening to the whole thing. Like, I've never been that way. I've been the type of person, if I find that there's a new album, I want to listen to the whole album in full. I'm that type of person. That's just me. This is a variety pack, 220. 220, we got the variety pack right here. The first thing I had written down, man, I said, and this is kind of interesting because I don't know nothing about this topic, but I know people who are victims of this and people who go to NA meetings. People taking drugs alone and possibly dying alone. Now, the only thing I can relate it to, hey, check this out. People taking drugs alone and people dying alone. The only thing that I can relate that to was like the times when I used to drink. Again, I don't want to compare apples or oranges here. Drinking and drugs, you know what I mean? Because there's different levels and degrees of drugs. There's different levels and degrees of drinking and even a threshold of how much people can handle. Some people are really proud that they can handle drinking a lot. And a lot of those people I know, they really ain't shit in life. They pretend to be something to their kids, but you recognize it when their kids don't listen. They're like, they see you being on some bitch ass shit, but then trying to fake be like a parent. Like, yeah, I be seeing that shit sometimes. It's kind of funny, you know. And it's funny because like I actually had a lot more respect for my dad when he like went cold turkey drinking and smoking. Like literally just watching that, that's when I started to realize like, yeah, I could see like now when this younger generation looks at their own parents for drinking and smoking, like they look at it a certain way. It's like it's not that they know better. Some of them think that they're still cool, but some of them are looking at them like, oh, you really ain't shit because you be saying this, that, and a third, but they're really doing the opposite. And don't add up to me. They'd rather deal with someone who's disciplined and stands on shit. And trust me when I tell you, that's really rare to come by. That's the whole hypocrisy of all this stuff, I had a friend, I don't even know if this person's a friend. Like, they do so much shit talking and manipulation on the side. I don't know who they actually are. And I'm really happy I don't talk to this person anymore. If I see them, it's no love lost. I would still talk to them, but I would have to check their temperature because I still allow people the space to apologize to me, even if they're, whether they're ready or not. But people have to understand where they're wrong. Do I feel like I was wrong too, but like I can't act like I didn't start the issue. So that's a whole other conversation. But I will say that this individual here did a little sneak talking in my vicinity one time. We were talking about drinking because I used to drink alone a lot, and then I remember he was saying something about like, yeah, but drinking's like a social thing for me. Like, I gotta do it with other people, and it's just kind of like it's a loser thing if you're just by yourself. I don't know. No offense to people who does that. And I was like, my whole thing was I used to invite people to drinks a lot, to get drinks a lot. I used to invite him and a couple other people, and for reasons that they don't want to, that's on them. But they didn't want to, and I was willing to pay for their drinks. This is back when I was drinking. See, like even as I'm saying it out loud, it sounds stupid. It just sounds stupid. Like that's who I used to be. But I thought about it. I was like, well, who doesn't, who knows what I was speaking about? Who knows what I was expounding upon? Who knows what I was saying and what I was passionate about while drinking? You understand what I'm saying? Like, who knows what that was? Who knows if it was something about, because it's like, again, there's a multitude of people in my life that I'll reach out to. I was like, hey, let's do this together. Let's do that together. Let's make this happen today. Yeah, I can make it happen today. Listen, I'll pay for it. Shit, if it's drinks, I got you. You want to do that? All right, we ain't trying to do that. I get it. And I let it go. And I understand if they don't talk to me no more and they don't reach out no more, but I get real upset when it's real convenient for people and they go through shit. And all of a sudden they start reaching back out to me and they want to drink around me and I don't drink no more. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, I used to be the guy who was like willing to get the drinks for people, willing to drink with them, willing to let them, you know what I'm saying? Just be there for them at a time. And like we used to drink together like in that same period. I stopped 2 years ago. So then it's just kind of weird that like out of nowhere, those same people kind of reach out like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, my bad. You don't drink no more? Well, I don't know. Just let me know if you want to hang out and maybe we could smoke. I mean, you don't got to drink. I'll drink. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, damn, I was asking for that shit back then, but why does it matter more when you ask for it? You see what I'm trying to say? It's strange, man. Like sometimes you'll see people reach out to each other at our lowest lows, man. Perhaps I was at a low and I needed someone to hang out with me while I drank a cocktail or like got a couple shots, maybe a beer or two, and just watching the game, just hanging out, just vibing, just thinking about the future and just conceptualizing friendships and success at the same time. That's what I used to think about a little bit, whether I had the formula down right or whether I was around the right people or not. I would always just think about that. And I didn't want to do it alone. I never wanted to do it alone. I always wanted people around me. Not to say I don't enjoy my own time. I don't enjoy my own company. So I started to self-examine. I'm sitting there wondering like what it is about me that's pushing these people away. I couldn't really quite find an answer, but I was like, you know what, man, I don't even know the answer. It hurts. It sucks. But one thing I can say is I will just end it blaming myself because I don't know what it is. Because if they wanted to be here, I think they would just still be here. And for whatever reason, they're not. I had to ask myself, like, maybe it is true. Maybe I can be a little overbearing at times. Maybe I can be saying a little too much. Maybe I can be doing too much. Maybe people just don't want to feel like they owe me, and that's fine. I get that, and I can learn to respect that over time. But I can't pretend like in this moment it doesn't hurt that those things didn't play out. And what makes it worse is like I said, just constantly getting these random texts, whether it be on the birthday or just a random day of the week, or someone just mourning and reminiscing. And we used to mourn and reminisce together about friends and family members alike. Phone calls, on the phone, smoking together, drinking together, things like that. And all of a sudden, when it's most convenient, when you're at your lowest low, you feel the need to reach out to me. It's almost like someone's dragging me down. So my thing of this was like, with the drug stuff, I can only empathize with someone who feels the need to take drugs to kind of make themselves feel better at a lowest low. You're at a lowest low, you need to pick me up. You're at your lowest low, you almost want to feel lower or just numb some shit. I get it. Because, theoretically, I guess I've been there before. Theoretically, I wasn't even aware that I might have been trying to drag people down to my level just to meet me halfway, and I'm willing to pay for you to come to my level. Hey, I will pay you, what I'm saying? I'll pay for your drinks. I will pay you to be as low fucking graded or low degrading as I am right now. To be on this low frequency right now. This isn't to judge people who casually drink or whatever and actually have friends that they can drink with in a healthy manner. That's not to judge that. Who am I to say that? But this is just my response into the fact that who was that guy to say that shit to me? To have the nerve to say some weird slick shit to me and say that's some loser shit to do some shit on your own. The year that the last year that I was drinking alone by myself was the same year that I was spending 5 figures worth of dollars to bury my mom properly. You understand? Pay off the EMT, if not the, what do you call this? The ambulance that picked her up that night, 2 weeks before she ended up dying. No one else was really helping me with the payments aside from my oldest brother and my cousin. on my mom's side. Like, people were here and there. People showed up support. People I reached out to try to come to the funeral or just like put the word out that I could speak to directly. They didn't want to show up, and they didn't really show up for me, or just didn't show up at all. So when people ask, like in that last year of my drinking, why I would spend so much time drinking alone, and I already was drinking alone at that time. I was already grieving friendships that I didn't realize were already ended, or just people weren't fucking with me. People who were waiting for me to die, simply. You know what I mean? People who couldn't wait for me to kind of just pass away so they can stop thinking about me or worrying about me. I don't have the goody two shoe, good amount of friends that are either like minded or supportive enough to still continue being around you even at your lowest lows. Maybe it's my fault. So I like to blame myself sometimes, unfortunately, when I think about stuff like that. But again, I say all this to say, like, I can only imagine, whether it's my friends or the next person or the random person that might be down the street from the college campus or the university campus, whatever, that could just be doing drugs alone this night, next morning, or just throughout the day. I don't know what that's like because I know what it was for me, but I can only imagine. I'd be walking home drunk off of how many cocktails and beers and shots and just some food in my system, and not a joint in my pocket, not no weed in my pocket to balance it out, so I don't overly black out. Just walking home on point, no strap, no nothing. And sometimes I did have it, just like, let's see what happened. And my joint don't even got safety, so nothing's in the chamber. But I was ready. I was scoping out everything from a distance. Like anything run up on me, I'm cocking in time. Dangerous way of living. Unnecessary. So I can only imagine. So my thing is like, again, back to the university mindset. If you were doing this alone, if you find yourself in between your drug habit, or even if you're high right now watching this, or drunk, I'm not saying you need to kick the habit, but if you're fearful of dying from it alone, kick the habit. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? It's never too late to kick the habit. Be right back. All right, and we're back. Sometimes it's important that I clear out the system. You know what I mean? Like extra unnecessary phlegm and mucus as I speak, as I overly speak. I need to hydrate, and I'm over here. I got these, I always have these random Prime bottles because they always buy them at the house or for the house. And I don't think these help, to be honest with you. I couldn't even name all the shit in here. I don't think they healthily enough help. I don't know if that's the right word or phrasing. Anyone indulging on their own because no one is there to do it with you or do it for you or meet you halfway, like, kick the habit for sure. If you feel like, if you know damn well that you don't have a healthy balance of, just a healthy balance of doing it, kick it, man. And it's easier said than done. Like, honestly, you'd have to replace the habit. When I stopped drinking, I had nothing else to spend money on until I realized, oh shit, I could just kind of splurge on Pokemon cards. I used to find once a week a reason to go drink. After an overtime shift, I would be like, oh man, I made so much money. I earned this drink. I made so much money that night. I earned the fucking drink. Go out to drink that night. So like so many times throughout the week, just drink. I walk everywhere, so I more or less maintain my shape. I just got a slight dad bod, slight dad gut, Dig. That's the lucky part. But I replaced that habit of just having Pokemon cards to buy, just having something to buy. I always need something to put the money into. I'm always spending it on something. I can't help it. It's like I gotta do it on this. This is the entertainment aspect. This is the channel. Okay, this is the people aspect. This is my collecting aspect. You know what I mean? So It's always something, man. And it's, like I said, I put the money into drinking because I was trying to replace the feeling of no one's around anymore. Just no one's around anymore. It sucks. And then now we got the, now it's like I'm overbearing. I'm almost pouring it into the Beyblade stuff again all over again, if I'm being honest, because I got this new idea. I got all these blades. I'm ready to, boom, it's over. I'm telling you. I'm telling you guys, man, it's over. But check this out, man. Be careful with that shit, man. You make it a habit. You don't kick it in time. Or you don't take care of it in time. You don't repurpose the energy or the act of it. You might end up doing it till you die, man. You might doing that shit. What the fuck? You might be doing that shit alone and just end up dying alone off that same shit. So be careful. This is a tricky one because I had a strong revelation with this one. This is the next note. This is actually the next note right here, but I had a strong little revelation with this. All I said was inside jokes with friends or within yourself. Secret codes can get out of hand, man. Don't get me wrong. That should get out of hand sometimes, man. People just doing little conversations. It's just like, it ain't straight up. It's not honest. Sometimes, like, my friendships were built on the fact that we had a little secret code. We had a little secret conversation amongst ourselves. And sometimes we make it a little too public. Sometimes we even tease the public. I would probably do that on like a subconscious narcissistic way to see if we can get people to talk about this shit. Like, hey, let's talk about this shit and let's see if we can get people to talk about it. It was trendy, but it was almost like you had to be in the know. We just do like little weird, stupid shit, dumbass shit, just making shit up, but never being straight up. So after a while, I was like, that's why you see who I am right now. Like, for the most part, a very straight up person, because I don't like the little side talking and all that shit. But I get it. People have a little side talk on the side. I was like, hey man, just be careful with this shit. I've been having to tell people straight up, like, man, just be careful with this shit. I don't want to talk behind people's back and shit, but just be careful with this individual. It doesn't help to really publicly speak about this person because they ain't well. So sometimes you gotta have that, like, inside talk, that inside jokes. It's not always jokes, but it's the inside convo. But sometimes you have it within yourself. I had a coworker, man. Dude's hella funny. Shout out to Sean. He used to walk past these fat girls at work, man. We used to work in the hospital. He used to walk past these fat girls at work when we'd be delivering, and he'd come up with little nicknames for them. Obviously, we didn't know that. He just did it in his own head. And like, he wasn't so far gone that he'd be mumbling the shit. Hopefully he wouldn't. But we're just going. All these new girls come to the department. They said, what's his name, man? He's so quiet all the time. He just gets his work done. He's just gone. I said, oh, that's Sean right there. They said, damn. I was like, yeah, he's a Navy dude, so he just knocks the work out. He goes about his business. He's gone. He's he's an Army dude. Oh. So they're saying all the shit. He's like, hey, we're gonna call him the Equalizer, man. He's like the Equalizer out. He could probably kill somebody, but he just mind his business. I started dying. So when I saw Sean, like next week or the next day, I said, hey man, them girls calling you the Equalizer. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, man, because you just quiet, you mind your business, you give away free food. Sometimes you just leave. And he started laughing and said, damn, I didn't even know they had a nickname for me. I might have to start telling people their nicknames, but they're gonna get mad. I said, what? He said, yeah, man, And he started naming all these fat girls on different floors. He said, shit, I'd be calling her the bus. I'd be calling her the cruise ship. Like, he was coming up with all these funny ass names. It was just like, but I'm exaggerating. I'm not saying verbatim what he actually said, but I just thought about it. It's like he had little nicknames for people, like in his mind. He would just he would call people little names, like just little small things, slight insults, but never to their face. He would just like, God damn, she'd just be in the way all the time. She'd be parked right here. It was like a little funny shit like that, you know. That's a man who has found peace to kind of just deal with his own shit and handle shit on his own. Maybe he needs some friends. I couldn't tell you, man. I think he has a healthy amount of friends and family that he stays tight with, but he leaves it real, whatever. And he doesn't pry too much because, when you start prying a lot, start trying to help a lot, when you start trying a lot too, that's when everybody starts getting away from you. That's the funny part, because whether you can help them or not, man, the fact that you trying and they not, and they realize that they ain't trying as much as you, they really want to distance themselves. It be happening sometimes. I've seen it. Shit kind of funny. It is what it is, though. You know, I'm damn near the same way. Somebody might be teaching me something in the fact that I won't allow them to be my teacher or my leader or whatever. they might start distancing themselves, or I might have to do it. Like it's like, hey, bro, I don't need you all up under me or just checking on me like that. It's kind of I'm gonna just start. I be having to tell people straight up sometimes. Some people be texting me a lot. I'm like, hey, you don't gotta check on me all the time, every damn near time of the day. You don't gotta do that shit all fucking day. We don't have to do that. You understand? That's where I'm at least. The inside talk, man. The inside talk is important, man. It kind of just it does define a friendship sometimes. I guess my main thing, this like I said, this is a variety pack kind of thing right here. This is a variety pack thing right here. So we're gonna have a multitude of topics and just ideas and thoughts with this one. So just kind of bear with me, man. Inside talk is important, man. The way people talk to themselves. Again, we got to go back to that. It has to be good. You don't want to be giving yourself mixed signals. There's this thing about mixed manifestations. They did a test on certain sports players. I think it was tennis. Billy Carson was speaking about this. He said the players that were failing but constantly reassuring themselves and saying positive things ended up winning their matches or doing well in the long run for their careers, getting championships and high placements. The ones who would beat themselves up and even blame certain things and just talk down and talk shit about the racket or whatever it was, people saying negative things to themselves as they were losing, but still trying their hardest, it was a mixed signal. They were trying their best, but then telling themselves negative things whenever they failed. Even when they were winning, they were still just like, come on, man, just kind of being negative or whatever, just like, nah, let's get this shit right, kind of drill sergeanting in the wrong way. Manifesting too many, it's making things a clear path. You understand? You're doing too many mixed signals here. Those people, not saying that they're all always lost, but some of them didn't have the highest forms of championship level um, accolades, you know? Accolades being rewards or achievements. Achievements is a good synonym for accolades. Accolades is sometimes even things you're known by. Achievements are things you're known by too, or things that you've actually, so it's a slight synonym there. So, I think about that sometimes where it's like I had groups of friends where the little side talk was always, sometimes there's some negative shit, and I find myself straying away from that. I start to recognize certain groups within other groups of friends, and I'm like, I don't need to be around that shit. I'm friends with these people. I don't want, when people start hitting me with a little slight talk, I'm like, listen, you got to understand something about me. The shit that I'm telling you or the shit that I'm warning you about with this particular individual here, I'm willing to say to their fucking face. Some people just stay on the internet. Some people be hiding behind the screen doing weirdo shit. I don't fucking know these people. I didn't grow up with y'all. Don't get that comfortable with me, man. Plain and simple. And some of you motherfuckers know who you are. Some of you weirdo motherfuckers know who you are because y'all be collaborating with each other on the low, keeping in touch with each other on the low, infiltrating spaces on the low, keeping tabs on all type of shit on the low. And I thank you guys for the views, and I thank you guys for the plays on the music as well too for some of y'all, because little shit like that, people want to check on the whole spectrum of stuff. I get plays, man. Get them plays, man. You're helping me get paid every quarter. So all the haters and all the weird investigators, I appreciate that. But that inside talk, man, you got to really refine what that might be or what that sound like. Because your group of friends is a body as well. So what you guys say within that body of work has to be something good as well. Entertaining, fun, good. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be on the up and up there. That's all I can really say on that regard, man. Actually, we'll leave it at this. This is the third and final one. It's on that variety pack, man. All it says is this: figuring things out by saying it out loud. Figuring things out by saying it out loud. Now, I don't know, like, I lost track of how many stuff on schedule or how ahead of schedule I am. I know, like, if I do one of these a day, or sorry, one of these a week, truancy hours, then I'm on schedule. So I used to do two. So I was about like 2 weeks ahead of schedule. But, this one, or at least a couple, like the last one was like in January. So the fact that I'm doing like, this is the third one, but I did four throughout the week, I'm probably like more than like about 3 months ahead of schedule with this one. So I don't know when this comes out. 3 months ahead of schedule means I don't know if I'm doing the math right there because it's November. So 2 to 3 months ahead of schedule. Let's just be whatever fair. I might be like 60 to 90 days away from this particular day. And what I found out today was, I do this. I have this app that gives me a reminder every day. Duolingo is one of them now, which is funny. But this other one that I've been using, it's actually just an affirmation app. Some of them have been, I probably got some repeat affirmations some days. But I think today I'm at day 50, if not day 53. And I make sure I say that I read it. If I'm able to read it out loud, I don't have to say it too loud, but I just read it enough to myself 7 times. I read it to myself about 7 times. If I feel like I miscounted and I'm not at 7, I'll just do another one, and I just kind of start back at a certain number. But I just make sure that I say it enough times to myself. I'm reading it thoroughly and I'm saying it enough times. And even when I'm not able to say it out loud, if I'm in a public space, my tongue is still moving in my mouth. Pause. So like I'm kind of just still speaking it, and I'm letting the body know like it's just positive stuff. It's just positive stuff on the phone, man. That's reminding me at least once to 2 times a day. So I'll read about 2 affirmations, positive affirmations a day. It's really good stuff. You understand? Just saying it. And I'm just kind of like seeing the stuff. Like I find myself in these, like even right now, these weird energetic slumps where it's like I'm not really sad about anything. Things are actually really moving really well and things are working out in life. And there's nothing that's really like tragically looming right now. But there's just a lack of excitement like it used to be. But things are very they're functionally really well. So there's a piece of me that's like, who am I to complain? Who am I to cry about that? Not saying there's no reason to complain or not cry about it, but who am I to. So I feel that way. But these affirmations, like I said, that's like, as of today, it's like day 53 or something. 50 or day 53 that I've been doing it for that long. Every day getting at least one or two. So like I say, by the time this video comes out, I might be a whole different person. Because hopefully I'm still doing the app by then. Even if I'm still getting the repetitious stuff. Even if I feel like I'm done with the repetitious stuff, maybe I'll stop after about 90 or 100 days of affirmations. I'm trying to get to like about 100 days of Duolingo, which is interesting. But even that too, I'm learning how to say the stuff out loud. Ocha to gohan no kudasai. Like, just green tea and rice, please. Just shit like that, bro. Mizu des. Like, what's this, bro? Like, what kind of drink is this, man? Mizu des. This is water. It's water. You know what I'm saying? Just like little shit like that. Like, I'm just over here practicing, and that's just off of 3 days, 2.5 to 3 days of just pulling the Duolingo out. It's funny. Getting them lessons in. I don't know if I need to up the lessons or like whatever the battery. I don't know. Just keep on doing them throughout the day. But it's like, I know if I overdo it, I got to be careful because then I might just forget because I'm like, I'm overdid it. I made up for last time. Just do it when I can. And it's like the slow build, the slow learning and the process of it. And then at some point, I just need to talk to people. But the pronunciation of stuff, I did this stuff in, like I said, saying it out loud, just understanding and figuring things out. Like that's me trying to learn this new language of a country I'm trying to move to, just slowly. Just working myself up to that. And then hopefully by winter quarter, I can actually join this class. But so many payments I need to take care of. I'm kind of fucking up with my own life right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. But let's make this money. Let's make it happen. Hey, man. That's it. The Truancy Hour, 220. I hit y'all with a variety pack. Back to the university mindset. I want people to kind of really just internalize within themselves why you should love yourself, reasons to love yourself, reasons to respect yourself. And try to do it without comparison. Understand me? Try to do it without comparison. Don't love yourself because you're not this person. You understand? Don't love yourself because you're not that family member. Don't love yourself because you're not this friend that isn't your friend anymore. Don't respect yourself because you're not that family member. You're not that person in society, that person in politics. Don't respect yourself because you're not, you know what I'm saying? Don't do something because you're not. Do something because you are you. Worry about the you, man. It sounds corny. It sounds stupid, but worry about you. Don't positively affirm yourself out of comparison to someone else who is looked at or you perceive as negative. Because now you're adding negativity still to the perception and the idea of yourself. Just worry about the goodness of you and work on that and cultivate that and make that greater, broader, stronger, wider. You understand? Even condense it, even compact it if necessary. It doesn't even have to be large. It's just like a dense muscle of greatness, positivity. That's just your heart. Your heart is just this beating muscle. Make it good. Make it respectful, satisfactory. My heart lately, as of now, I swear to God, like there's little negative stuff that I was always preparing for, like fights and confrontations. And my heart looks at it sometimes, it observes it. And it's just like, a piece of me is like, am I scared right now? I'm like, no, this is bullshit. And it literally will take me 30 days to like, 4 weeks to 30 days where I'm like, yeah, man, if you actually had acted on what you think you should have done in that moment, things would have been fucked up down the line because either you would have been in the hospital because, retaliation or something, or this person would have been in the hospital, they would have been dead. Because, like, sometimes in a street fight, I don't know my own power. That's my issue. That's why I try to stay out of them. And the other side of it is like it's a street fight, so you can get hit while you're down. And if I'm really mad, I'm caving your head in. So it's just like I have to be careful with that. So I keep myself out of fights and violence, man. You know what I mean? I like. So I don't want to sit there and say, man, I'm such a disciplined person. I'm not like that guy who wants to fight everyone all the time. No, we don't do that. I just know who I am and what I've done. Like I've stayed out of fights most of my life, man. And I try to congratulate myself for that. I was like, hey man, you've done that this whole time. Let's try to keep doing that. Let's see if we can still keep solving problems and issues with a bit of wit. Maybe if you have to clown some people just to let them know so they can examine themselves. Sometimes you got to make fun of people just so they examine themselves a little more. You meet them halfway at their stuff, but then you also kind of let them know, like, I'm still up here, but I'm just letting you know, bro. Like, don't do that. We're right here. We're right here with all that. That's the crazy thing though. Like as of lately, I've texted people, I've said certain stuff out loud, and I will say certain people have just stayed in their place, and I'm like, I'm finding a little like moral self respect for myself. Where I'm just like, it sucks that I have to check certain people, but it's unfortunate that I feel like I have to, or that it's getting done. But hey, it's happening, and people just leave me the fuck alone after that. Like I don't know what that weird shit is. And I asked them about it. I was like, what's up with the weird shit, man? What's up with the weirdo shit? So I don't pretend to be friends with people. I'm at a point where I really don't pretend to be friends with people. It's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. Hey, man, we'll leave it at that before things get a little out of hand and I start overthinking stuff rather than actually hashing it out and working it out mentally within myself. That is TTH220. Thank you guys for tuning in for this many of them. I'm trying to keep my energy as much as as elevated as I possibly can. I'm reaching the end of the day right here, so I'm kind of losing a bit of energy, feeling a bit sapped. Pause. That is it. TTH 220, the Truancy Hour 220. That is episode 220 of the Truancy Hour. Majority of these at this point were live streams back in the early from 1 to 200s, but this one we're trying to do these pre-recorded, university mindset joints, and we'll see where this takes us, man. We'll see where this gets us. Right now, we are right here. This is just where we're at. This is the variety pack episode. It's probably one of the first few. Is that right? Where I've intentionally done a variety pack. We'll see about that. We'll see what I end up throwing on the title, man. It's University Mindset Part 20. There it is, man. Hey, I love you guys. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out. I'm out.